Hello, smart viewers. Welcome to Face with me, William. And as usual, I'm going to discuss about variously interesting topics in each episode. And for this special episode, I'm going to discuss about how to turn your litter or your rubbish to a fashionable items like this. It's gorgeous. Yeah. So the topic is about eco-friendly fashion and how the issue of slow fashion is slowly starting to get attention, especially in the niche fashion industry. So for this segment, I'm gonna give out some of the simple ways to make your wardrobe more earth-friendly. So the first kind of tips is that you need to shop secondhand. Yeah? So the idea is to create as little waste as you can. So thrifting or shopping in your sister's closet is a great option. And the next one is that you can extend the life of your clothes for as long as possible. So that includes laundering your clothes with care by using cold instead of warm or hot water, as well as hang drying, since it's gentler to cold clothes than tumble drying. The next one is, if you'd like something new, shop smart. So it's more expensive than secondhand, but high quality basics made with organic dyes and sustainable fabrics are much better for the planet than cheap, trendy pieces that fall apart after a few washes. And the next tips is that you can give your clothing a second life. So when you're cleaning out your closet, recycle or donate your clothes and accessories. And the last the tips is that you can buy local. So even if your community's designer and artists don't create their products with the environmental aspects in mind, it's much better to support them rather than a chain store. So those are some of the simplest ways to make your wardrobe more earth-friendly. For the next segment, I'm going to invite my special guest for today's episode, and she's a designer, an eco-friendly fashion designer in STARTIC. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned on Face to Face. Hello, smart viewers. Welcome back to Face with me, William. And as I promised on the previous segment, I'm going to invite my special guest for today's episode, and she is Vania Santoso.
Hello.
From STARTIC.
Hi.
Maybe you can share your latest or recent activities related to eco-friendly fashion.
Sure. So yes, I'm Vania, and I'm one of the co-founders for STARTIC, Artistic Eco Fashion, and it is actually like a social enterprise based in Surabaya. And what we are doing is really to empower the marginalized communities and also like local people to be able to take the upcycled products into the next level. Because when we talk about upcycled products, usually what comes to people's mind is like, oh, well, it's coming from waste, so it is not fashionable enough. But then in STARTIC, we'd like to promote and also showcase that, hey, look at us, like, it could be exotic outside, yet still ethical inside.
Oh, yeah, so that's the basic concept of STARTIC. Yeah. And I'm curious about how you and your friends come up with ideas to establish STARTIC.
Okay, so it's actually my sister and I. So it was like back then in 2005. Since we're based in Surabaya, which is actually also part of the biggest cities as well, the second biggest city after Jakarta. But then we found out we've experienced that flood came into our house directly, so that at that time we felt like we need to do something, and then that's when we started our movement at that moment, just like youth-led social movement called Ave Peduli, and at that moment our main objective is really to raise people's awareness on the environment in a youth-friendly way. But then along the way, like 2 years after that, in 2007, we finally got a funding from winning international competition in Sweden. And from that opportunity, we realized that, okay, if we'd like to do something in social or like for social cause, then we also need to think about the financial aspect as well, because otherwise we cannot really survive with it. So that is why we try to really seize the opportunity on how we can do something out of the environmental problem itself.
So thus you created STARTIC.
Yes.
And also like what is the like the kind of like the look of STARTIC, the identity of STARTIC that makes it different from any kind of similar brand?
Okay, so we're talking about like the competitive advantage or like the differentiation from our products. I will differentiate it into two sides. The very first one is really about how we differentiate ourselves from other upcycled products, because here we do not want to only sell the stories, but beyond that we also would like to sell how the upcycled products are also having this kind of artistic design and also the function itself. Because for example, if you take a look at our products at a glance, well, people usually ask us like, hey, what is it made of? What kind of leather is it? That kind of thing, so that we can really get the attention from the people that, okay, it is leather look-alike, but then it's actually made out of the upcycling process. And also at the same time, even though it is coming from waste, but then we also guarantee about the quality itself, because we've done a research with Universitas Erlangga, where I graduated from, and it is for the finishing or like the coating process, so that it is also waterproof, because we sell fashion products, so then we also need to ensure that it is also durable enough, yes, usable. So yes, that's pretty much on how we really differentiate with other upcycled products.
Oh yeah, so like I'm curious also about how the motivation of like creating thinking creative process of creating this item. Maybe you can share about the process.
Okay, so about the brainstorming process, what we are really doing is to involve people, the society that we empower itself, because I mean we cannot really work alone, and that's how the collaboration process will be more fruitful if we really involve more people with our supporting system as well. But then we really need to understand how their sense of belonging and also how they really can participate at their best capacity as well. So what we are doing is really by having this kind of meeting and also like brainstorming ideation together with the design thinking process, that kind of things that we can really communicate from our side, the management team, and also the people that we empower. So it is not just us like the top-bottom approach from us instructing them quote unquote like, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that, but it's more into
like
a two-way communication process.
Oh, so that's what makes it interesting also about the creative process, and also like in every kind of process there are challenges. Maybe you can share about the challenges of dealing with like so-called waste, like with not so friendly item, maybe you can share about that.
I think the main challenge is really to find out the right target market, because once you got the target market right, then you can just sell it to whoever they are. Meaning that at the very first time we were having quite a wrong direction, because we really aim high for our idealism, meaning that, okay, I want to sell this as a way, as a means of our education to really raise people's awareness on the environment. But then I personally think, especially for the Indonesian consumers, they are not that ready yet to accept this kind of products. So that's where we kind of like shift it, like, okay, let's see who are really already environmental conscious, and then we target those people and try to communicate that, hey, we have these environmental friendly products that you can be proud of by wearing these products. And then by having that kind of communication delivered to the right person, right target audience, then they could really appreciate it even with the very high price. And then by having this target market ready, then we can start to tapping into those who are not environmental conscious yet by saying like, hey, these people already wearing these products, what about you? That kind of triggering would be an interesting thing to do.
Yeah, so it's more suitable to kind of like create this, you know, like inspiration first. Yeah,
Yes.
To you know, like reach more on the closest market.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, what we need is like role model who can really influence, like, hey, this is something cool, this is something wow, and you do need to have this as well.
Yeah, so that's also the benefit of positioning Hey STARTIC as a brand. Yeah. And also, you know, like kind of like you shared about the creative process. Also, what makes it different is that it's dealing with, you know, the waste, something like that. So the conversation is getting interesting, but we're gonna have to take a little break. So make sure to stay tuned on Face to Face. Hello, smart viewers. Welcome back to Face to Face. Still with me, William, and my special guest for today's episode, Vania from Hey STARTIC.
Yay!
And we actually have some photos that we can discuss.
Okay.
Maybe some of your activities related to Hey STARTIC. Yeah.
All right.
So we could take a
What's
look.
that?
If we can share about this photo.
Okay. So this is actually one of the programs that I became the mentor. So it is called as the Secangkir Semangat for Buat Nyata Tujuanmu. So it's like a national sociopreneurship competition held by Kapal Api. And at that event, they really try to find like the top social entrepreneur ideas that could be implemented in real life. So it's not just like a business plan competition, but really it takes like a long process from starting from June 2018 until February 2019 on how we are going to discuss together and then make the prototype until really validating the market itself, so that we can really assure that, okay, this social business model is then ready to kick off. So yes, this is part of the kick-off in Surabaya.
Oh, yeah. So the next photo.
Let's see, what's that? Oh wow, okay. So since I'm a social innovation enthusiast, I have like, other than my social enterprise, I also work in other work for other projects. For example, in UNICEF Indonesia, I was part of the innovation team, working on how we can really engage with the adolescent and also youth to really deliver how UNICEF really works for. So this is part of the campaign on menstruation is not taboo issue, so that people can really start discussing on it, and really the idea is to educate as many people as possible, because if we always see that as a taboo issue, then we cannot really discuss it and we will get nothing out of it. So it is an interesting movement held by UNICEF Indonesia on how they publish a book like what is menstruation with interesting image as well, so that it is more child friendly for the user, because they use a comic style.
Oh, okay. And the next one?
The next one is, wow. This is when I took part for the Global Student Entrepreneur Awards. So it was back in 2016, and I was chosen to represent Indonesia and compete with the other like around 50 delegates representing other countries. And at that moment, what I really learned is about how competition is not always about winning or losing, because at that time, actually, I didn't win, but then I got the opportunity to have a collaboration with one of the designer coming from El Salvador. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting because actually she is the winner at that year. So yes, being a part of the competition is really about how we can really try our best to seize every opportunity, so networking and then start discussing with other participants, that kind of thing, so that we can really find our collaborators as well.
So it's more about the process.
Yes, exactly.
So the next one?
Oh, we still have some. Oh wow, okay. This is where I always take this as an example of the important to get message across by having, you know, like elevator pitch and also like the strong bold statement at the very first 5 or even 5 seconds, for example, because at this moment, Hey STARTIC was being the participant for Trade Expo Indonesia. And then at that moment, Mr. Jokowi, our president of Indonesia, visited this expo, but not directly into our booth. So at that moment, I was trying to have this opportunity to really present and pitch about Hey STARTIC by saying like, good afternoon, Mr. President. This looks like leather, but actually it's not. So by having that simple statement, what I really tried is really to get his attention on me, because he was just like walking from one to another spot, so that I really need to catch his attention in just like 3 or 5 seconds only. So through that statement, then he was really into my presentation as well, so that we can discuss even further. And luckily, after that, I found out that Hey STARTIC was becoming one of some other entrepreneurs that being presented in his presentation. And at the same time, we also got more orders as well from like ministries and also from other agencies as well. So yeah.
So it's a great opportunity to catch it when there is the opportunity.
Yes, exactly.
So those are your activities, you know, like related to Hey STARTIC. And the next one?
Oh, we still have more. Oh wow, okay, this is quite recent. So Hey STARTIC was selected to be part of the Young Leaders Summit in Belgium. So it was held in October 2018. So what we were doing there was really to exchange our ideas, what we've done so far about how we as the young leaders already did a movement and also things that related to ethical leadership, because this year's theme is about ethical leadership, and Hey STARTIC was also appointed as one of the business role model that could apply the circular economy itself. So yeah, we really shared a lot of things regarding to the how ethics is really matters in our life and also in our business process as well, and how we deliver our products, our marketing strategy, that kind of things.
Oh yeah, so so those are activities here related to your. You mentioned about marketing strategy. Maybe you can share about how you position your brand Hey STARTIC, as a part of marketing strategy.
Right. Okay, so we have quite some different target audiences, target markets that we target. So for example, for the business to consumer itself, so what we are doing is for people who are not environmental conscious yet, we are really trying to trigger them with products like this that they can see like, oh, it looks like leather, but even though it's not, so that we can really sell it in a more affordable price, for example. And then still we really take the design itself as one of our core competence. So that's how we market our products, by joining in expo or like through social media. Also like having our stores, for example, in the airport and then in the souvenir center, that kind of things.
Oh, okay.
And at the same time, we also sell our products to the consumers who are like already environmental conscious, who are expatriates in Indonesia, for example, so that we cooperate with cafe in Kemang, for example, because Kemang is very well known as like the center for those expatriates, so that we put it there. So really it's about how we are going to target our market. While for the business to business, we pitch to the companies. We also like giving the samples as well, so that they can really understand what kind of products that are suitable for their events. And I think that's how we really need to maintain our relationship, by joining in events or maybe like competitions. Like the smart viewers here can also do that, because most of the time the clients that I get from the corporates is actually the person that I fortunately met when I attended an event or maybe joining a competition. So yes, that could be one of the strategy, quote unquote.
Yeah, so you can get your clients at anywhere.
Yes.
It leads to another opportunity. And,
True.
And what do you think about the development, like the improvement of fashion, especially in eco-friendly fashion here in Indonesia?
Actually, it's getting interesting, because the issue of slow fashion itself is actually getting bigger and bigger again. And there are like several hashtags that you can also follow, like for example, who made your clothes, that kind of things, that really make the Indonesian people curious, like what is it about? So that it's like a good time for us to really tap into how ethical fashion and also like the environmental conscious fashion could really be something catchy. So it's no longer about, okay, I'm wearing the branded items, but more into how ethical is your fashion, that kind of choice as well. So yeah, and to really have this kind of campaign getting bigger and bigger, it is something that we really need to work on even bigger as well, because there are quite lots of fashion brands who are ethical as well. But then the question is how we can really collaborate one another, and also how their efforts, like what we are doing is really can be spread even wider again.
Oh yeah, so thank you so much, Vania, for sharing your experiences and how, the creative process of Hey STARTIC, you can use it anywhere. Yeah. You don't have to feel less fashionable when you wear this. Yeah.
Exactly.
So thank you so much. We hope that your stories, can inspire smart viewers who want to also establish their eco-friendly fashion, or interested in purchasing one. You just search Hey STARTIC, and it's available on social media as well.
Right.
And maybe you can also visit. You frequently join in events also. Yeah. So we've come to the end of the show. Be sure to watch another episode of Face to Face at the same day and time. Until then, I'm William, signing off. Bye bye.